All right, guys, welcome to episode number 207 of the Digital Barbell Podcast. Thank you, as always, for being here. We're back with another Q&A episode, and we're back with another sponsor. We've had some big sponsors on this podcast. Apple, IKEA, those come to mind as pretty mega companies. This might be the biggest.
Okay.
And it's not even a company. It's a whole category of beverage. We're sponsored by beer.
NA beer?
If you're watching the video version of this on the YouTubes, you'll see that we each have our own non-alcoholic beer here in front of us.
Because it's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. We're working late tonight, and we want to keep our focus. And we're on the tail end of dry January also. But non-alcoholic beer is an amazing option no matter what time of year you're in. You really don't even like beer. So why are you drinking that Heineken 0.0? Do you like it?
I do like beer.
You do like,
yeah.
I mean, most beer you're like, well, I don't remember last time you drank a regular beer. You're more of a wine drinker if you're going to have a drink.
Alcoholic beer makes me feel super bloated, and I just don't feel good the next morning. But I feel, I was like, I didn't feel that way with wine.
Yeah.
But these do not.
So you like the Heineken?
I like the flavor of beer. I didn't like the feeling of beer.
So that's most people would also probably agree with that, but they just power through and slam a bunch of beers anyway.
And still feel bloated and gross the next day.
Right.
Yeah.
Same
Last
with
night
pizza.
we went out with his dad and his sister, and I had a Carbach. Is that a Texas brand?
Yeah, they got bought by Budweiser.
Yeah, so they're everywhere. Carbach Free and Light or something like that. Anyway, another NA beer. Delicious. Probably my favorite one. And then this Heineken is very good too.
Yeah. So how would you say you have felt overall without drinking alcohol, and what are your thoughts on that?
The other thing is I've also stopped drinking coffee. I mean, I drink decaf coffee. So this has been like a two-peat. I've been decaf coffee in the morning, NA beers at night. I feel fantastic.
So are you going to keep it up past January?
I'll never go back.
Never, no more alcohol or caffeine the rest of your life.
I've been giving myself a little bit, like 50 milligrams of caffeine after the morning, but I don't need it to get up midday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just your natural rhythm is waking up in the morning. Plus the placebo effect of drinking a hot cup of decaf in the morning.
Yeah.
Takes the place.
We got a pralines flavored decaf right now that I'm working. I really like it.
Yeah, you're hooked on that. I'm drinking a Beck's non-alcoholic, and I tell you what, this is the first 6-pack of this I've bought, and it is really, really good. I don't usually like. I think this is a German beer. I don't usually love German beer.
I haven't tasted that one.
More like wheat beers and things like that. But this is really, really good.
Do they make a alcoholic beer, or is this just a non-alcoholic brand?
Yeah, no. This is Beck's is a big. I mean, they've been around forever. I think they just got into the non-alcoholic game, but people I actually love to put this kind of stuff on social media just because it triggers people, and you get all the haters coming out of the woodwork. Why would you drink a non-alcoholic beer? If you're just if you're gonna drink that, you might as well just drink. Or I'd rather drink nothing. Okay, go do you, but go drink nothing or drink a beer. I don't care. I don't care what you do, and you shouldn't care what I do.
Yeah.
But these are a great option. If you're in a fat loss phase, they have about half the calories of a regular beer, plus you avoid all the other negative side effects of drinking the alcohol. So it's not just about drinking NA beer.
Right.
There's a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah. I would say the last few times that we've been out and we've had a non-alcoholic beer out at a restaurant or whatever the thing, it's kind of like the coffee in the morning. There's this placebo effect of not like you're like, oh, I feel like I'm getting a buzz or something, but
you still feel like you're
participating. Yes. No, I don't think anybody around the table is like, oh, that one's an NA beer.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they do, who cares?
Yeah.
You do you.
And the way they make these cans, first of all, I would not know that if someone had this, I would never think that this was an NA beer. Same thing with that Carbach.
Yeah.
They're bright and colorful. All those Athletic Brewings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in 2023, it is going to be so much more widely accepted. I mean, even there's a outdoor bar near us that's a good place to go and watch the sunset, and it's all outdoor. And their thing is that they serve Texas craft beer on draft. That's it. But they have Athletic Brewing.
Yeah.
You can get also.
Because they know that there's a market. There's people that want to go hang out at these places that want a non-alcoholic option.
Yeah. And it's not like I started to say earlier, it's not just about the calories and stuff. Number one, you're going to be less likely to make poor decisions with your nutrition after you have a couple NA beers than if you had 2 alcoholic beers. And your training isn't going to be impacted. You're not going to have a foggy head the next morning. So if you've ever thought that O'Doul's was the only thing out there and that like, you would be stigmatized for drinking an O'Doul's, try to let that go and open your mind up to the benefits of drinking some NA beers or not drinking at all.
Back when we used to live in Idaho, we used to bring, this is kind of when we first got into these, we would bring Coors Edges, which are non-alcoholic Coors, up to the mountain with us so that we could have a beer on the ride down. I mean, it was like a 30-minute drive down the mountain, pretty treacherous.
A lot of switchbacks. In
the snow. It wasn't something that we wanted to be like drinking a beer as we're driving down.
Plus, drinking and driving is generally frowned upon.
It's generally frowned upon.
And illegal.
But having a cold beer after skiing is always a nice thing to do. So either wait till you get down the mountain or crack an NA beer on the way down.
Yep. All right. Well, we just gave like 10 minutes of promotion to NA beer. This is a actually, you know what?
Yeah.
I think we have another sponsor for this episode.
Oh, goodness.
This is okay. So anybody watching the video version of this also will notice that like all of a sudden I have long hair.
You almost made me spit out my beer.
I've been hiding long hair under a hat for like 2 months now, but I had long hair when we met.
Yeah, this is why we're together, because he had long hair.
I wooed you with long hair, and I'm trying to keep you with long hair. But
I think people listening to this are going to be like, they're not drinking NA beers.
Right. Oh, my eyes are burning for some reason. What's in this thing? But the other sponsor for this is something you mentioned earlier today, Grecian Formula.
Oh, gosh.
Out of the blue, she looked over at me today with my long hair. She goes, I think you need some Grecian Formula.
I think that's an inside joke that my grandpa used to like use it or something like that.
Anybody who's our age probably knows what Grecian Formula is.
I don't even know what it is. I just remember my grandpa talking about it.
It's something you buy in a box and you scrub into your hair that takes the gray away. So I think she was commenting that I have a lot of gray hair now. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just shave my head again.
Let me just tell everybody what we're going for here is it's for him to be able to do like the man bun with a short fade underneath. I'm very excited about this.
My barber says called an undercut.
I kind of came up with this concept. I was like, this would look great on your hair because he does get like gray on the sides, like right above the ears and everything like that. But the top of his hair is just like
wild.
Great. It's gorgeous and like curly. It does its own thing. And like people need to see this hair. So I was like, to solve this problem of like not letting the sides be too gray, we could do like the undercut. Anyway, today this is the second guy I've seen with this haircut that I like. I'm picturing for you.
Okay. Did you stop him and
I didn't stop him, but he had it was at HEB just now. He had the shaved sides and he had it right here tied back.
Am I on the way? Oh, I know the guy you're talking about.
I don't know him.
Oh, wait. He's not one of the guys who brings the groceries out?
No, he was going in. Maybe he works there.
All right.
But yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what the point of that was, but that's why I have long hair now. I did nutrition check-in videos for clients today, and I think it's the first time I've done it with my hat off.
Oh.
And they're probably like, whoa,
he's got long hair.
Guy?
You kind of look like this in 2020 when we lived in Boise, though. Yeah. And it was not because you were trying to grow your hair out.
Just trying to avoid getting COVID in a barbershop.
All right.
We got a Q&A.
Yeah, we do.
And actually, you haven't read any of these questions yet.
I don't know the Q, so this is going to be fun. All right, first one. How important is doing a cool down after my workout?
Okay, so what is a cool down? It's a time after you finish your workout where you either do something like some static stretching, something to bring your heart rate down, something like ride a bike, use a rower, something like that.
Let me give my input on this. I
want to explain what it is first. So now we know what a cool down is.
Okay.
What's your opinion?
Well, yeah, because I think a lot of people just say cool down, but maybe they don't know like what they mean by cool down. Okay. When I owned the gym, I did not do a lot of like after. There was not a lot of cool downs. There was not a lot of after workout stretching because if you have an hour time that you're going to be in the gym, and this can apply if you're going to an in-person gym or you just have an hour to get your workout in, I would rather you be spending that hour working on your strength, working on your accessories, working on your conditioning, not spending 15 minutes cooling down afterwards. I think that's something that can be done anytime. My other piece of this is if you have a pretty short, and I did this actually today, I'm having to modify a lot of stuff. I have a little tweak in my neck or shoulder. I'm not even sure what's going on, but anyway, having to modify tons of stuff. I did an 18-minute AMRAP, and then I looked down at my watch, and I ran around the driveway like a jog to finish out 30 minutes. That was like a kind of like a cool down / keep my heart rate elevated for 30 minutes. So I see the benefit in something like that. If you're doing a fairly short workout and you want to like add something to it. Look down at your watch, finish out to 20, finish out to 30, whatever it is you're going for right there. As far as like a general cool down, you're not going to see a ton of them coming from my programming because of that. I don't want you to spend time I don't want you to take away time that you're going to be working on something cooling down.
Yep.
But if there's parts of, if you have an injury, if you have something that's going on and you need to be purposefully stretching a certain body part, I'm all for that.
I totally agree. I think like one of the reasons this gets kind of thought about a lot is we watch sports on TV or we watch the CrossFit games or something, and we see those athletes finish an event, or even like football players, that are on on offense, but while the defense is on the field, they're like riding a bike slowly or something like that.
Yeah. So the point they're most likely, especially if you see them on the football field, they are in the game. They're coming off. They're trying to keep their heart rate up. They're trying to keep it like and elevated to a certain point. They're trying not to cool down completely. Right. Same thing in the CrossFit games. If you're watching them and they like dive their head into an ice bath or something, and then they get on these bikes and they're trying to like not completely cool down, keep their muscles warm, because they're going to have to be out there doing something else.
Yeah, or they're trying to recover between events because they're going to have to hit it again. So the idea is that they're introducing some kind of quick recovery that will make them more ready for the next thing. But
right.
For the general population, the people that we train and ourselves, we don't have time for cool downs, and any benefit you get during that time could be better spent doing
unless you just
more training.
Enjoy like after. I mean, I will say like I don't like to finish a workout. I make a joke on Jonathan because we work out a lot right before lunch, and I'll have finished a workout, and most of the time I'm doing like something like my strength, and then I finish with a conditioning, and he's been doing just strength, and I'll be like breathing heavy, my heart rate's high, and he'll be like inside cutting chicken.
Let's go eat some lunch.
And I'm like, I need to quote cool down. Like I need like 20 minutes to let my heart rate cool down, let my body cool down. I'll walk around the driveway.
Or
I will do that.
Check
but
your
that's
email
just like,
or something.
Yeah, that's just something I'm going to do on my own.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next one. If I don't have much of an appetite in the morning, should I eat anyway?
I guess you can't really answer this question without asking some follow-up questions. Like, what are your goals? Like, are you trying to build muscle? Are you having trouble eating enough calories to gain weight and gain muscle? Are you trying to lose fat? Do you train in the morning? Those are all questions that would kind of influence the answer. But in general, like, there's nothing magic about eating in the morning if you're not hungry. They've done studies on people where if they eat 30 to 50 grams of protein in the morning, their outcomes with fat loss are better. It suppresses appetite to the point where they're less likely to overeat later in the day. So that's one advantage of having a breakfast. There's an advantage as far as like spreading your protein intake throughout the day so that you're stimulating muscle protein synthesis more often. You can do that every 3 to 5 hours if you have 30-ish grams of high quality protein. Beyond that, like if you're just somebody who's interested in general health, not trying to gain weight, not trying to lose weight, it's whatever fits your lifestyle. It's if you have a specific goal that I would say you need to try to spread your nutrients out across the day. But like if they're I guess this person didn't ask this, but there's nothing magic as far as fat loss goes either about,
eating first thing when you wake up. Like,
either eating or not eating first thing in the morning. Like a lot of people think like, well, if I don't eat for the first part of the morning, my body is going to preferentially burn fat for energy because I'm not putting in any food to cause insulin to go up. And that's true. But studies have also shown that if you suppress calories early in the morning to burn fat for energy, your body will make up for it later in the day when you eat and switch over to burning even more carbs. But it doesn't matter because in the grand scheme of things, whether you're trying to gain weight or lose weight, it's the total across the entire day. And even more important than that, across the entire week.
Sorry.
Yeah, beer got you good. That matters for whether you're going to gain or lose. So the last thing I'll say is if you train in the morning, and especially if you lift weights, you're probably going to see higher performance if you do train with some calories in your body. I'm not saying you have to have a full meal, but if 30 minutes to an hour before you train, you can get 25 to 50 grams of carbs in your body, at least, even if it's in liquid form or a protein shake with 25-ish grams of protein, you're going to see an increase in muscle building over time and in energy over time.
This does make me think of a question that came in a few podcasts ago about like getting in your calories if you had like busy jobs. So I would say like if you're in a situation where like you're not that hungry in the morning, but your day is super busy and you're going to like either not be able to like get food until like 2 or 3 p.m. or it's going to make you like, oh, I'm so hungry right now, I'm just going to grab anything I see, then I would say, yes, you should probably eat something in the morning.
That's a great point.
All right. Mic drop. Let's move on.
Mic drop.
What should I look for in a protein powder?
The cheapest one you can find. No.
No.
All right. So let's talk real quick about whey protein for our friends who tolerate dairy products. First of all, you want to look, the point of a protein powder is that it's a protein supplement. You're trying to get more protein in so that you hit your daily total. That's the point of it, and for convenience. So you want almost all of the calories from the supplement to actually come from protein. So you're not tagging along a bunch of calories from carbohydrates and fat. Because a lot of the old school protein shakes were made just with whey protein concentrate, which has a higher fat content. And there's still some cheaper ones out there that are like that. So you might be getting like 20 to 25 grams of protein in there, but you're also getting just as many calories from fat. So the whole thing ends up being like a replacement for a meal. You've like made a meal supplement instead of a protein supplement. So look at the nutrition facts on the bag. Look at the grams of protein, multiply it times 4, because that's how many calories are in a gram of protein. And that should be pretty darn close to how many calories are in the serving. The Muscle Milk 100% whey that I've been using lately and have for like 2 years probably, I think it's 25 grams of protein and 120 or 130 calories. So take that 25, multiply it times 4, that's 100 calories coming from protein. So almost all of them. You're going to get a little bit of trace amounts of, and the one I use is a isolate concentrate blend. That's why there's some calories from carbohydrates and fat. If you get a pure isolate, there's some of those that are like almost 100% protein, but that's not necessary. Just look for the doing that math, make sure that most of the calories are coming from protein. And the other thing to look for is the total BCAA content. That just stands for the branched chain amino acids. Those are the 3 amino acids that are most responsible for muscle growth. And you want to get between 3.5 and 5 grams of the BCAAs per serving. And almost any high quality whey protein is going to meet that. And if they do meet it, it'll probably be on the label. If you can't find that information somewhere on the label, that's a red flag that maybe it's a low quality, not very bioavailable protein. So you actually have just built out a page on our website called Products That We Trust. It's under the free content tab, where we're linking like stuff that we trust and stuff that we use and stuff that we recommend to our clients.
Our clients ask us a lot, like, where can I get this or that or this or that? And so it's now all nice and neat on this webpage, and we'll keep adding to it. But the protein that you're mentioning is on there right now.
And then if you're somebody who is a vegetarian or a vegan and you're looking for a protein powder, you still need the same thing as far as the amino acid breakdown to trigger muscle growth, whether it comes from vegetables or it comes from meat. The thing with a veggie protein is it takes more of a vegetable to reach that threshold of the branched chain amino acids than it does with meat. So most veggie proteins are going to have more calories just because the quantity of the vegetable you have to eat is more to get up to that threshold. So a veggie protein powder might have more like 180 to 200 calories, and you're always going to find that they have more carbohydrates than the whey protein counterparts. Because if you think about it, they're getting their protein source usually from rice, from peas, from soy, those kinds of things, which are mainly sources of carbohydrate that have some protein in them. So if you're looking for a veggie protein, look for the ones I just mentioned: rice, pea, and soy. Those are the top 3.
Okay. All right. I was doing lunges this week and felt a weird, sharp pain in my knee, so I stopped. Was that the right thing to do? I would say yes, that was the right thing to do in that moment. We don't want to like push into, he said, or whoever said this, a weird, sharp pain in your knee. If you have a coach, this is the perfect opportunity to send a video to your coach so that they can like make sure that you're doing things right. A couple of things I would think that could be going on is some sort of twisting, that you didn't really realize you were doing, possibly stepping like with your feet too close together. So I always make sure that people have, about a hip width stance. in their lunge. And when they lunge, like a lot of people tend to like go really narrow, which makes you wobbly, which makes you want to like tilt over, and that puts a little strain on the knee. The other thing is I mostly like, I mean, we do both kinds of lunges, but I prefer
what are those two kind?
I prefer step back to step forward, especially if you have any kind of knee pain, because when you do a step back lunge, you're using your posterior chain to stand up. When you do a forward lunge, think about like pushing off that front foot. Your knee is involved in that a lot. And then the last piece I would say is if you're doing this on some sort of surface that's hard, make sure you have a pad, and then also make sure you aren't just like hammering that knee down to the floor. That just reminded me of one more thing that could be going on, is not going all the way to the floor. I think a lot of people want to do a lunge and they don't want to hit their knee, hard on the floor. We do want to bring our knee all the way to the floor, but we want to guide it down with our muscles. The reason we don't want to stop it is because think about yourself lunging and then having to like change direction without hitting the floor. What's going to make you change direction? What's going to have all that pressure? Your knee. Your knee is where all that pressure is going to be.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that's either twisting or not going full range is what will cause those little pains.
Yeah. What did they say exactly?
Weird sharp pain.
So let me just like expand this out past the realm of lunging, and let's just talk about what should you do when you feel something when you're working out in general. I think they said they stopped. Was that the right thing to do? Yeah, in the moment, that's the right thing to do. Like Blakely said, you don't ever want to like push into pain and make things worse. But a lot of times with these little like sharp pains especially, it's something that isn't actually like a mechanical thing wrong with the structure of your joint, your bone, your ligaments, anything like that. It could be a lot of different things, and it would be ridiculous to say that we can diagnose it over a podcast. But I will say that if you keep your mindset in the right place, and we've talked about this many, many times, like don't think that something's wrong. Don't catastrophize. Like, oh shoot, like what is that pain? Like, oh my gosh, this is probably going to be like, oh my, I'm never going to be able to lunge. Oh man, something's probably broken in there. Put all that in your back pocket for a second. If you're doing any kind of weight, take all the weight off and just start to go through the range of motion. Yeah. Walk around a little bit. I mean, maybe it's like that your kneecap was like not tracking in the right direction. Maybe you had a little air bubble in there that was causing some pain. Maybe something was just a little bit off. Walk around and then replicate the motion without any weight. And I would say like 80+% of the time, it kind of goes away. Yeah. And then you can slowly load back towards where you were. And even if you never get back to the weight that you were prescribed to do that day, this could be for any exercise. You've instilled the confidence in yourself that you're not broken, and you got some dang work done.
Yeah. And the next time you approach this exercise, you're going to go in it with confidence. Otherwise, you might go in it with being scared. Oh, what if the same thing happens? This
happened to me last week with squats. Like I started squatting and I felt this weird thing in my left knee that I don't normally feel. Like a little bit of pain. I wouldn't even call it pain. It was a sensation on the left side of my kneecap. And that was actually during when I was just doing the air squats in the warm up. So I just went outside, walked around a little bit, started loading slowly, still felt it, pulled it back down, did a few more, loaded back up, and it went away. And I was able to complete my workout as prescribed. So don't catastrophize. Ease back into it, and 9 times out of 10, these things resolve on their own.
Awesome. All right. Next one. If I'm under my protein but at my calories, should I go over calories to hit my protein?
This is a really, really common question.
I feel like we answered this one time. Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe. Okay.
But it's super common. So the idea is like, shoot, if I don't get my protein in, like I'm not going to reach my fat loss.
I'm at my calories, but I haven't hit my protein.
Yeah. So like, let's say your calorie goal is 2,000. It's 9 o'clock at night. You're at 2,000 calories. Your protein goal is 200 and you're only at 180. Should you go eat something that has 20 grams of protein in it and put yourself 80 calories over to be able to hit your
protein?
First of all, you're never going to find anything that's pure protein to get that extra 20 grams. So we think in our mind, like, shoot, like I didn't hit the 200, like that's going to mess up my muscle growth, or it's going to mess up my fat loss, or I'm going to feel this tomorrow that I was a little bit short. Should I go over my calories? Let's just assume somebody's approaching this from the fat loss angle. Because if you're trying to gain weight, go over your calories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're trying to lose weight, what are the priorities that we're going for? Number one, you will not lose weight if you're not in a calorie deficit. So that tells you right there, if eating the extra protein is going to push you over your calories, don't eat more. That you've already violated rule number one. Yeah. Priority number two underneath total calories is total protein. So the learning experience in this is to like back up, take an assessment. Why did this happen? So it's something you can prevent in the future. Like, how do you need to add a little bit of protein to your meals throughout the day? How do you need to have one more high protein snack somewhere during the day? And what other portions do you need to pull back on a little bit so that you can fit that extra 20 grams of protein in? Now, people are like, I'm not going to play that game and try to figure all that out. This is the beauty of, if you are tracking macros, which this person has to be if they ask this question, of pre-planning to some degree. It's really like giving yourself a plan to follow. We're not big fans of meal plans, but you need to have some kind of idea of what you're going to eat during that day instead of just winging it, if you're really concerned about getting to 200 grams instead of 180.
Yeah.
Did I answer the question?
I think so.
All right. Let me take a sip.
All right, 2 more. Next one. What are the best exercises for growing my glutes? All right. If you haven't already, you can download our free abs, arms, and you know the rest.
What's the rest?
Free download.
Glutes?
The rest has to do with
but
your
that
glutes.
Doesn't fit with the arms and abs alliteration.
Oh man, so we've got squats, of course. We've got all the variations of deadlifts. We've got all the variations of lunges. We've got get a box. You're going to be stepping up on this box. Get a hip circle. You're going to be using this hip circle. You're going to be doing glute bridges. You're going to be doing hip extensions.
Yeah, I mean, everything you
hip
just
thrust,
listed.
yeah.
I think, think about this. If you want to be able to do this on your own without having to ask anybody, think about the muscle that you want to grow. Look at what it does. The glute takes your hip from bent over, to standing up. That's what makes you stand up, is your glutes. So think about all the exercises that take your hips from that position, whether it's a squat where you start standing up, ended up in the bottom, and then push yourself up. And the secret to using those exercises to grow your glutes is 2 things. You have to lift heavy weight.
Yeah. You
have to progressively overload it. And I guess I'll add a third one. You need to give your body enough calories to make it happen too. There aren't enough air squats, deadlifts, hip extensions you can do that will grow your butt if you're in a calorie deficit and you're trying to diet your way down to bigger glutes.
Right. So you're not going to be wanting to do 500 lunges with no weight to do this. You're going to be wanting to put some weight on a barbell to do some sets of lunges. To make them to make your glutes grow, you need hypertrophy. You need to make the muscle bigger. And the main tenets of doing that are, heavy strength training at 80+% of your 1 rep max, and progressively overloading the muscle over time by increasing the weight you're adding to these exercises. So you got to pick the main core of your exercises that can be progressively overloaded. Yeah.
Like frog pumps and quadruped hip extensions and band side steps. Those are a great way to incur a ton of metabolic stress on your glutes after your strength training portion, but you can't progressively overload your banded side steps. What are you gonna do? 1,000 of them and then 1,002 the next time?
We do a lot of that after our barbell lifts, and it's great to see all the comments wow. And if I was exercise number 1, quadruped hip extensions, I think everybody would just be like, doo, 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 and there would be nothing to it.
It'd be a warm up.
And if it's, exercise 4 on your list and you've already done some heavy legs, you're like, wow, those burn. I think some confusion might come in. So say you went outside and you lunged 400 meters or something.
Oh Lord.
And
R.I.P.
You would be debilitatingly sore.
Right.
You might not be able to walk straight for 2 days, or get down on a toilet or go up some stairs. So I think there's a thought of this is what worked for me. I'm just going to lunge 400 meters, 500 meters, 600 meters, and just keep adding.
You did not grow a single muscle by doing that. You actually just destroyed the muscle and made yourself so sore that you couldn't train for a week probably.
Yeah. I mean, not to say that doing a set of 3x10 each leg barbell lunges is not, it's going to make you sore.
Yeah.
But you're going to be sore. You're not going to be where you can't move the next day.
Yeah. You want to grow any muscle, you have to put a lot of mechanical tension on the muscle. Think about, what is mechanical tension? It's really hard resistance against the muscle. You can't incur a really hard resistance against a muscle by doing something with a band.
Yeah.
The only way you can do it is by a heavy resistance, which in the case of growing your glutes is deadlifts, squats, and hip thrusts. Those are probably the main 3 barbell lifts that you need to progressively.
What did you say again?
Squats, deadlifts, and hip thrusts. That's kind of the main core things that you can progressively overload and put a lot of mechanical tension on your glutes. And then supplement with this.
And lunges.
Yeah, lunges too, yeah. And step ups. Yeah. It's kind of hard to load a step up progressively heavier because you really get to a point where you can't balance it and it becomes not safe.
Yeah. You can add reps for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. Okay. I think we killed that one.
All right. And this is true for not just glutes, for any exercise. And this is why we encourage people to just like keep building that arsenal of weights that you have, because once you tap out at that last weight you have, you know, there's only so many reps you can do of these exercises. You're going to want to add weight to the bar, add weight to your dumbbells. And
then if you're listening to this and you're like, and you're not happy with the growth of any of your muscles, like that's probably the reason why it hasn't been growing. You're not putting enough mechanical tension on your muscle.
Or you've kind of been stuck like, this is my rep set, this is my weight, this is what I do. And I get out there and exercise and you are, you know, you're like, I feel like I'm doing great, and you are doing great. Yeah. You're just needing to like add weight, add reps.
And that's the beauty of the app that we coach our clients through, is the history feature. And they're like, I'm always encouraging my clients, like, hey, before you do this set of these next week, jump into the exercise history where you can see what you did. Try to beat your reps from last week. That's what progressive overload is.
If you got 12, 12, 12 last week, let's add a couple reps this week. Yep.
And eat some dang food.
All right. Last one. I just found your podcast and listened to the skinny fat episode. I've been doing CrossFit for almost 5 years, but I'm basically skinny fat. Where should I start to try and fix it?
Man, this one really overlaps with the last answer for growing your glutes. Because really, like, skinny fat, and the way I think about it is, it's like a below average muscle mass, or even average muscle mass, with an average or above average amount of body fat covering the muscles. Actually, I would probably say an average or below average amount of muscle covered by an average amount of fat. Because if you just saw somebody walking around with their shirt on and they look pretty normal, they probably have an average amount of fat. But if they lift their shirt up, you see all that fat, and because there's no muscle, you don't see any shape to the body. It just kind of looks loose and flowy in the wind.
Okay.
What was the question? Oh yeah.
Where should I start to try and fix it?
All right. Well, to know how to fix it, we got to talk about, well, why did it happen in the first place? You know, CrossFit is a great form of exercise and training, but because of the group structure and just the way that it works, like, you're doing a lot of high intensity barbell work, tons of conditioning, like, you're not necessarily progressively overloading your movements. Like, you know, the WOD is going to be different every day. So that's why.
You watch yourself here.
This is just the reason. Like, this was us for, you know, from 2010 to 2014, probably. So the reason your body isn't really changing is because you're not progressively overloading your muscles. You're getting an amazing workout. You're getting fitter. You're increasing your capacity. Sure, you grew some muscle, but not in the way that you would if you were following a progressive overload strength training program. So that's what you need to change. You can continue to do CrossFit, and many of our clients have done this in the past, where they'll maybe pull down the number of CrossFit classes that they go to. They'll do their digital barbell strength training workouts that include progressive overload, that include lots of mechanical tension, that include the accessory exercises targeted at the muscles that people want to see. We got to get your nutrition dialed in, and you'll start to see progress over time. Specifically on the nutrition, you got to get off the paleo thing that was so popular with CrossFit. You got to start eating more carbohydrates. You got to start eating probably at least your maintenance calories, if not a little bit more. And you got to include enough protein in your diet, because one of the main things that holds people back from changing their body composition from skinny fat to more athletic looking is giving their body the nutrients that it needs to build the muscle that is trying to happen through the progressive overload. I made a post on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, or last week, that said, training gives your body the stimulus to change. Your nutrition determines whether or not it's going to happen or not. So you can do all the weightlifting in the world if you want, but if your nutrition stinks, your body's not going to change in the way that you're trying to get it to change through the training. What?
Are you done?
I'm out of non-alcoholic beer, so
I'm just going to jump in. So that we're not slamming CrossFit. If you do digital barbell programming, and you do it 5 days a week, you do CrossFit. So we program CrossFit. So we're definitely not against CrossFit. No. We're all for doing CrossFit, but we do it within a structured training program that includes strength training accessory and some CrossFit.
Yeah.
As opposed to going to a CrossFit gym where you're just doing CrossFit 5 times a week per se. Like if you scroll back on our Instagram, if you're listening to this fairly recently, just a few days ago, you posted a great picture of a before and after of a guy. It had like 4 pictures of a guy.
Oh yeah.
And that guy used to go to my CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
He went for several years, was doing CrossFit. When did his body change? When he started doing digital barbell, where he's also doing CrossFit, but he's also doing the strength, the bodybuilding in the right doses.
Yeah, you're right. And he did 3 months of nutrition coaching with me also.
Yeah.
And really like standout guy as far as being thoughtful about what we were doing during the time of nutrition coaching.
Learned about, like he got the education piece of the nutrition coaching.
Right. He wasn't just trying to check the box to reach a result. He wanted to learn, and he did, so that he could
do it on his own.
He could do it on his own, and he has since then. And that was really like, of course the training gave his body the stimulus to change, and then his nutrition like really made it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't trying to knock.
I know, just bringing it.
I'm actually excited. I've been doing 3 months of pretty much all strength training outside of some, zone 2 conditioning for my heart, and you roping me into doing some Metcons every once in a while, but
maybe like 2 in the last 4 months.
Yeah.
So
I did that 1,000-meter row that almost took me down.
I didn't tell you to do that.
Tasted pennies for like 2 days. I'm looking forward to getting back to our roots. Like my shoulders feeling mostly better. I still want to find a CrossFit competition to do.
What's so cool is when you're doing, when you step away and you're not doing CrossFit every day, there's these movements that you do, like you don't do regularly, and you go do one. Like the other day, I did some kipping pull-ups in the middle of a workout. And because I have gotten stronger, they were so much easier, and I could do so much bigger sets than I used to be able to do when I just did strict CrossFit. So it's just cool to see things like that. Or like, I think it was maybe a month or so ago, I was doing some power cleans, and I surprised myself with that. I'm just like, I can clean more than I thought I could. I could clean more than I could back, when I was doing strictly CrossFit and probably doing cleans like every, 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
So
why? Because strength is never a weakness.
Yeah. Was that your quote?
No, I stole that from Mark Bell.
No, but it's true. It's really cool to, a lot of times you think like, well, I'm not, if I'm going to be doing, I'm not working on this and this and this and this, but you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard something on a podcast today. It was an episode of the Huberman podcast, which they're ridiculously way too long. He gives like Joe Rogan a run for his money, but they're all science-based. And he was interviewing this Dr. Andy Galpin, who's like a muscle specialist. I heard him a long time ago back on the Barbell Shrugged podcast. But anyway, he threw out this statistic that was like mind-boggling. Once you're over 40, this is an average, but you lose about 1% of your muscle mass every year. You lose about 2% of your strength every year, and you lose about 8% of your power every year. That's bad.
Yeah.
But there's things that you can do to fight against it. And the number one thing you can do to fight against it is to train for strength. Give your body a reason to keep the lean mass that you have. Give your body a reason to keep the bone strength and density that it has. I thought the power thing was really interesting though, because when you think about what takes old people out at an older age, it's things like falls. And really power, the formula for power is, like basically effort over time, like strength displayed quickly. How quickly can you do something? And how do you prevent a fall? Really, for older people, it's being able to use power. Like you trip a little bit, boom, like I can move my leg into a forward position quickly to catch myself. I stumble to the side a little bit. I can raise my arm to brace myself against the wall instead of falling on the ground and breaking my wrist or my elbow. So that should be motivation enough to like do something. We're not in our 20s anymore. She's like giving me the don't tell thing.
I'm just kidding.
It was a really motivating statistic because we want to fight against that stuff. We want to be independent as we age. And I think, I don't know what the demographics are on our listeners to this podcast. We don't get privy to that information, but I just want to reassure anybody that if you're not in your teens, if you're not in your 20s, if you're not even in your 30s anymore, you are in a place to make rapid progress because you're going to give your body a new stimulus to doing this kind of stuff. And even if you've worked out a long time, which I have a feeling almost everybody that listens to this does work out or has in the past, or they wouldn't be listening to a fitness podcast. If you've never exposed yourself to the kind of training that we're talking about right here, you still get to go through that newbie gains phase where you see rapid progress that motivates you to like, you know, keep going. Like, this is exciting. I'm really seeing my body change, and I like the way that I feel. So regardless of your age, all this stuff still applies to you is what I'm trying to say.
And regardless of your age, there's like, I think there's like, oh, at this age, I'm not going to be able to do pull-ups, or I'm not going to be able to do box jumps, or I'm not going to be able to do these explosive movements. But all the better reason, like what you just said, to be able to still do these things. So like, I think I just put for a lot of our clients, like a little like, why do pull-ups?
Yeah,
you know,
I saw that.
Like if you need the physical strength to pull yourself over a fence or up onto a boat or whatever the situation is, that's why I do a pull-up.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with like a box jump. If you need to get away and jump over something, you're running from a dog and, you know, whatever the situation is, you need to be able to like run fast and jump. And the things that we do in training like relate to these situations that hopefully you're never in. You know, it's like insurance. Like, hopefully I'm never in the situation where I'm running and having to jump for my life. But if you ever are, then you can. Yeah,
if you had to like catapult yourself over a low fence to get away from a dog that's chasing you.
I don't know why I think about that a lot. I'm just like always kind of like thinking about an exit strategy for some reason. And
let's talk about your trauma.
Yeah. So we used to always walk in neighborhoods, and I was like, okay, I would jump over that fence right now, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know why it's in the back of my head. That's kind of scary to tell everybody. But here where we walk on a country road, and the people have high fence for like deer, like high deer fence. And I've often thought about the strategy. Really, I think about this in relation to our dogs. Our dogs, like if ever we're walking and someone was like, some animal was like coming up and we're trying to like
coyote
attack our dogs. Even in the neighborhood when we were in Idaho, like, you know, if a loose animal came up, what would I do? And I would throw my dog over this fence or whatever and then jump over. Same thing here. I was like, okay, I've thought about it before. Like, how would I get Buttons over this high fence to safety and myself?
If you listened to the episode a few weeks ago where Blakely had to carry Buttons, you'll know this is not an easy feat.
She's long and heavy. But anyway, I've thought about this before. Like, how could I get up over that high fence with Buttons? Hopefully you can take Lacey.
Yeah, or you could just like sacrifice me so that you can get over the fence.
Me and Buttons will be safe.
Are you picturing doing like a button swing, like a kettlebell swing?
No, I don't think I'd throw her because she would hurt herself. I think I would have to like, with the low fences in a neighborhood, people are probably tuning out right now, but in the low fences in the neighborhoods, I would toss her over and then jump over. Those are easy. In the high fences here, I would, scoop her up under one arm and climb one armed up.
I don't think you could climb one arm because when you let go with the hand, you would fall backwards. No, I don't think so.
I'm going to have to do it. You'd have to like get a finger on the fence to switch arms. Like,
I think what you should do, since they're always wearing a harness, they're not like, we're not walking them by like a choke collar.
You could like pull them up.
No, you take the leash and you wrap it back behind your neck, and the dog stays behind you like a backpack. So the dog's like hanging behind you off the harness, and I guess you still hold the leash with your hand.
Yeah.
But no, you put the leash in your teeth.
Oh, no. You can't hold a 35-pound dog with your teeth. Sorry. Our other coach, Bailey, will prop me on this one. She's a dental hygienist. She'll tell me.
We're gonna workshop this and make a YouTube video on how to get over a fence with a dog.
I hope it doesn't happen, but I've got my plan. I hope you have yours.
Let's wrap this up because I want to go get another one of these Beck's beers.
Right.
But before we wrap it up, we have 5 days left in the month on the day that this is coming out.
Basically, like one more option. You got next Monday to start.
You got like 10 minutes.
You got 10 minutes
sign up for this
if you want to get custom coaching with free nutrition. We've had a lot of people take advantage of this, and I know none of them have regretted it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
What she's trying to say is, if you start a training program with us in January, which is next Monday, is the last Monday to start. So you want to get that conversation started. I'll put a link in the show notes for this episode. You better don't dilly-dally around. You're going to miss out. It's a big savings, guys. And even more than the money that you're going to save, you're going to amplify your results. Because like we talked about with our skinny fat friend, put your effort into your training and nutrition, and you're going to more than double your efforts by
and
concentrating
what
on
we
both.
talked about with the client who really just did nutrition coaching for 3 months, but took the opportunity to learn from it for 3 months. That's what we want. We don't want to keep you as a client for here on out forever. We want to give you a few months of education about your nutrition so that you can go and do this for the rest of your life, teach your family, be on the road to success.
Love it. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you don't already follow us on Instagram or Facebook, we give away all kinds of free information on there every single day.
And stickers sometimes.
We send out swag.
Stickers.
And if you're a member, a Digital Barbell member already, and you're not a member of our private members only Facebook group, send me a message. I'll tell you how to join. Great community there. Haley posts free, helpful information every week. We talk about our challenge, which is wrapping up. And we're going to announce the new challenge starting for February coming soon too. So, all right. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. We'll catch you next time.